Hey everyone, Joe here. Welcome to the channel. If you're like me and like to maintain your vehicles, you know it's important to change your oil on a regular basis. But with all the different brands of oils out there, how do you know which ones are good? Well, we're going to take a look at three of them here today. Mobil one, Valvoline, and Pennzoil. So stay tuned. So taking a closer look at the oils we're going to be testing, we're looking at the Mobil 1 and Valvoline Advanced Synthetic and the Pennzoil Ultra Platinum. Now if you watch some other videos online comparing oil brands, you probably came across some internal lab testing such as oil viscosity or the oil scar test. All good information, but I was really looking for some real-world results. So I decided to take these different oil brands and run them in my own vehicle for a predetermined set of miles, then take a sample and send them out to the lab for analysis. So let's take a look at the four vehicles we're going to be testing in. So I used a company called Blackstone Laboratories to analyze my oil samples. You can find them online if you Google them. But here's kind of an example report that they provide you. Now what I'm primarily looking at on this report are these top 6 elements. These are wear metals from the engine and something you want the least amount of. Alright, so let's jump right into the reports here. This first one is the oil analysis of the F-150. You can see here on the very top row, this is the miles that were put on the oil. This first column is the Valvoline. And then this third column over here is the Mobil 1. Now typically I don't change my oil until I reach between 5,000 and 6,000 miles. But for this little experiment, I really wanted to try to keep the variables down to a minimum. For example, driving styles or idle time, or in particular, the outside temperature. I live up here in the Midwest, so our winters might average 20-30 degrees, whereas in the summer we're in the 80s and 90s. So I didn't want to run one brand during the winter time when the oil is thicker, which of course creates more engine wear versus a test performed in the summer. So I wanted to try to keep that span as narrow as possible. So for this chart, the blue is the Mobil 1, the orange is Valvoline, and then the gray is the Blackstone average wear for all their samples that they've seen for this type of engine. The amounts of iron and copper in the oil was identical for both the Mobil 1 and Valvoline. When it comes to the aluminum content, you can see that the Valvoline came in at 3 parts per million, which is under the average, and Mobil 1 came in at 5 parts per million. So we'll have to give the win to Valvoline on this one. Here we have the Chevy Cruze, Mobil 1 versus Pennzoil. You can see copper was identical, with Mobil 1 having higher contents of iron and aluminum. Disclaimer on this report, the Mobil 1 sample had excessive amount of fuel in the oil, which of course skews these numbers and makes this test inconclusive. Here we have the Chevy Trax, again Mobil 1 against Pennzoil, equal amounts of both copper and aluminum, with a higher iron content with the Mobil 1. Win going to Pennzoil. Here we have the Grand Cherokee, Mobil 1 versus Pennzoil, equal amounts of copper and aluminum, slightly less iron for the Mobil 1. But we did see both lead and tin show up for the first time in our report. I will say this one is a draw with maybe a possibly slight nod to Pennzoil. So which oil is the best? Well, these are all fine, good quality oils, and I wouldn't be afraid to run any of them in my vehicles. But in this limited testing, Mobil 1 did seem to fall a little behind the other two. But we are talking only a couple parts per million. But would that increase with extended oil changes? Or what about the life of the vehicle? I would love to hear your thoughts on this, so please leave a comment down below and let me know what you think. If you're looking for additional videos on oil analysis, check out fellow YouTuber Ford Boss Me. He did a series of videos where he sent samples of virgin oil straight out of the container for analysis. The reports illustrate the different additive packages that each brand uses, and he does a really nice job of explaining the different additives. He spent a lot of time and money on these samples, and definitely worthwhile watching. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like it if you did. And if you like this type of content, be sure to subscribe to my channel. And hopefully we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.